Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and boy, do we have some football to talk about today. We've had Darren Waller retire, and we've got mandatory mini camps kicking off for 22 NFL teams this week, as well as a bunch of other stuff coming out from interviews and random quotes and podcast appearances from some players over the weekend. So we're going to be discussing that and what we can take away from stuff we're hearing from around the league. All that and more coming up on Wake and Take on this wonderful Monday morning. So go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, I'm looking here in the chat. I already see some of you popping off. So good morning to you, Semper. Good morning to you, Ryan. And good morning to you, Jamie. And I've got to say, it's always a wonderful morning when I see you guys in there in the chat. But I just got to say, I'm starting to see a lot of comments. A lot of comments coming in talking about how cringy and uncool this show's intro is. I could give a rat's ass. I am not here to be cool or anything. I'm wearing a turtleneck. I've got a bird for a pet, a bunny for a pet. If I turn off my green screen, I've got convention things on the wall and Hot Wheels pinned to the wall and Spider-Man things. I don't care about being cool. I'm here to be entertaining. I'm here to have some fun, lighten up the morning, talk about some football. I could give I don't fucking care if I'm cool or not when I say good morning. I'm happy to be here. I just want to say good morning to you guys and say we're talking about football. That's all I care about. I know it's a little tongue-in-cheek, a little over the top, but that's the point. We're doing a little morning show. We're not supposed to just come in here and be like, oh, yeah, let's talk football. No. Good morning to everyone. Let's fucking talk some football. Let's fucking go. Darren Waller has retired. And, when players retire, it's, a little sad, but, you also, you feel excited for them in their next steps and all that stuff. And Darren Waller is one of those players who, has made a big name for himself over the years by being such an athletic freak and everything. But most of the time, he was also disappointing. It's weird, looking through his career and outside of 2019, 2020, it's not that great. But we won't really talk about that, him not being that great. We'll talk about how good he was. Darren Waller, of course, made the Pro Bowl one time. He played for plenty of teams, and he's finishing his career with 350 receptions, over 4,000 receiving yards, and 20 touchdowns in only 86 games. It was a very, very solid career for him, especially in those 2019, 2020 seasons where he had over 1,000 yards in both of them on the Raiders, of course, leading to the millions that he made. And then, of course, he kind of battled some injury issues before his breaking out. He had the whole rehab incident where he was suspended for violating the NFL substance abuse policy. He was able to overcome that. I mean, it's really, really a great story. This is a player who has overcome a lot of adversity through his life and then was able to, make a huge name for himself on the NFL stage and everything. So it's been a really solid career for him. Here's the video of him announcing his retirement. I feel that's probably a better way to talk about this than just me talking about what he's talking about. So here we go. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Here's what he said on his career and just why he's retiring. And sorry for the Instagram reel. That's his platform of choice, I guess. Let me zoom in.
I don't know if I really feel like if I would have died that I would have felt great about how my life was going if I died at the time.
Let me know in the chat if you're hearing this.
I'm doing something that I found a lot of joy in and have had amazing moments with. But the passion is slowly been fading. I've made the decision that I'll be retiring from the.
I had the tab muted because I stream to Instagram as well, and I don't want to hear myself. So hold on.
I really feel like if I would have died that I would have felt great about how my life was going if I died at the time. I'm doing something that I found a lot of joy in and have had amazing moments with. But the passion has slowly been fading. I've, made the decision that I'll be retiring from the NFL. There's eternally grateful for the game of football. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation or to think things through or be self-reflective if it wasn't for an opportunity to save my life and go to rehab, which the NFL offered me. They also gave me an opportunity to, reestablish myself, to, come back into the world and do something productive, provide an example, be a leader, be a difference maker, in my craft, but also just in the day-to-day wherever I go. I mean, all the teams I played for, Baltimore taking a chance on me with all the red flags I even had coming out of college with, and can't say enough about the Raiders, Oakland, and Las Vegas. Thank you to the Giants. Grateful for all the guys there, all the coaches there. I love y'all. Appreciate you. And that's all I got.
So yeah, Darren Waller, I mean, that's a solid enough, retirement speech, of course. He thanks all the teams and just, provides a little bit of insight into what was going on. He has a full YouTube video up about his retirement. He did mention that he had like a near-death experience last season or something. It was very unclear on what it was. He didn't go into too much detail, but he kind of hinted at it here in this clip. Just how he thought he was going to die. And in that moment of clairvoyance, he was like, I don't really want to play football anymore. Like, I just don't think that this is like, I want to do more with my life, essentially. So I just want to say I wish him the best. Obviously, a really good career, a player that we loved for our fantasy teams, especially at the very scarce tight end position, someone that a lot of players were able to rely on. Of course, I'm not going to lie. Darren Waller is one of the players that I always got burned by. I've talked about my Christian McCaffrey. Every year I got Christian McCaffrey when he was a Panther was the year he got hurt. Like, I never had Christian McCaffrey when he was healthy in my redraft seasons. It was kind of the same thing here with Darren Waller. Like, the first time I was finally able to get him was 2021, which was fine, right? 600 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I never, like, it was just like, anyways. He never helped me, but I know he helped a lot of y'all. So wish him the best in his next step. And I just really hope that, because this is a player who's had the mental health stuff, he's had the rehab stuff. I just hope that being away from football, he still has something that could, keep him busy and that he doesn't spiral, because we do see this story a lot with players who step away from the league, that it can get out of control. And so I just hope that he has, especially with that rap song coming out, I just hope that he can stay okay, keep it all together. And I just wish him all the best. I just wish him all the best. Let's go Darren Waller. So the next question we've of course got to ask ourselves is, Darren Waller's gone. We're fantasy managers. What matters? And that's who's stepping up. And there's 2 tight ends in New York that I think have a chance here to step up. And I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a platoon-like thing over the course of their careers. But I do want to go ahead and put myself on record here. As much as I like Theo Johnson, you can go read my Senior Bowl article. I named him my standout tight end, the tight end 1 at the Senior Bowl, over Ben Sinnott, who was my honorable mention. Those are my 2 tight ends that I loved at that Senior Bowl. As much as I love Theo Johnson and everything, the Giants' passing attack is not going to be that great. We still have to ask ourselves, what do we think about Daniel Jones? Are we going to get Daniel Jones from 2 seasons ago? Are we going to get last year's Daniel Jones? What is this offensive line going to look like? How are the targets going to be divided between Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Devin Singletary, and these tight ends that are still there, Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger? And it just doesn't seem like a lot is going to go around. And then, of course, you also ask yourself the question, well, how rare is it for a rookie tight end to break out? And I know we got spoiled last season with Sam Laporta, but for the most part, rookie tight ends take some time. And especially athletic tight ends that didn't have much college production as a receiver, like Theo Johnson, as athletic as he is, as awesome as he projects to be, and as excited I am for his career, I do not expect Theo Johnson to break out quickly or fast, really, next season. Maybe he'll score some touchdowns, right? I mean, when you're 6'6", 260 pounds and run a sub 4.6 40-yard dash, you've got an insane catch radius, you've got great burst, you've got great speed, you've got great size. That, of course, is going to help you. But if you look at his Penn State production, you just don't see a lot. 34 receptions for 340 yards and 7 touchdowns was his best season. That was last year as a senior. And that's a 12% target share, which is solid for a tight end in college. But of course, again, only 34 receptions, only 300 receiving yards. Of course, positive there is he did get the 7 touchdowns. And that's why I say he could score some touchdowns for New York. But I do see him as almost 100% being the tight end 2 on the depth chart to start the year and probably to close the year, as we've seen from Daniel Bellinger. some solid stuff as well. First off, I mean, over the last 2 seasons in New York, he's had at least 25 receptions and 250 receiving yards. And as a rookie, he actually averaged 6 points per game, battling injuries and everything. And he was actually fine. He had a couple 5-target games. He had a couple touchdowns that he scored. If you'll remember, Daniel Bellinger even had a game where his eye was poked out, and we thought that was going to be it. Not out, but he like had a finger go to his eye, and his eye was bleeding. He had to, I think he like did like the whole eye patch thing. And that's why he wears a visor now. But anyway, he played through that, demonstrated his tight end toughness and everything. He's definitely going to be the tight end 1 on the depth chart. And so I think that he at least gets the first crack. Now, Theo Johnson, of course, has the athleticism to be a good receiver. And I guess just what I'm trying to say is while he has the athleticism to be a receiver, he's still very raw as a receiver. And his size is going to be so valuable as a blocker. He's 6'6", 260 pounds. That is a blocking tight end, even with his athleticism. He's going to be asked to block because Daniel Bellinger is athletic in his own right. He's 6'5", 250. He runs the 4.6 40. He's got the good catch radius. He's got the fourth round draft capital. In fact, I'm now looking. They are both 23 years old, despite Daniel Bellinger already having 2 years in the league. So I think for this season, if you want to take a swing on a Giants tight end, it is probably going to be Daniel Bellinger. I don't mind taking a swing on both in your super deep tight end premium leagues. Like if it's 2 tight ends, if it's a tight end premium, maybe. But then also, again, I just want to emphasize there's not going to be a lot of volume for these tight ends. I assume that a lot of it's going to go to Neighbors. A lot of it's going to go to Wandale. And I would assume also Singletary gets some work out of the backfield. I think these tight ends are going to have some decent games. Like, 3 receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Like, that's kind of what I'm expecting here. So I'm not really sure if these guys are actually startable fantasy assets. So I don't know if, like, you are definitely not basing your tight end room around either of these guys. I would go ahead and say definitely do not do that. But if you have a Kyle Pitts or maybe you want to take a swing on a TJ Hawkinson and need someone to hold you over for the first few weeks, maybe you could go with a Bellinger and just see what happens. I'm not expecting much ceiling at all, or really even that much floor, but I would say that Daniel Bellinger should be fine. And if, an injury happens or Theo Johnson does establish himself, he should be fine as well. But I think, especially in the Theo Johnson case, it's gonna take a couple seasons for him. We see it time and time again. Realistically, when it comes to the tight end position, normally it just takes some time. So as much as I like Theo Johnson as a prospect, and I think he will get there over time, I am not going to bet on it for a rookie season. There's just too many moving pieces in New York right now to where I'm not very comfortable really investing in any of those pieces, but especially the rookie tight end that didn't really see much college production. I would rather take some swings elsewhere. And yeah, we've seen enough from Bellinger, I think, to where he'll at least get the first crack and be good enough and probably hold rookie Theo Johnson off for a little bit. But yes, the upside for Theo Johnson is incredible. And especially in Dynasty, I would be taking some swings on him. So that's kind of the Darren Waller news updates, what you should be doing. Don't put too much stock into Theo Johnson or Daniel Bellinger in 2024, being completely honest. But if you need to take a swing on a tight end, I don't hate it. I'm just not necessarily basing any strategy around it. So that is that. We'll go ahead and move on to some other tight end updates. And this revolves around the Cleveland Browns. David Njoku was asked this weekend about what he's seeing in the new offense, the Dorsey offense. And this is what he said. It is juicy. I'm not going to say anything else. I'll leave it at that, but I'm really excited for this year. Of course, Dorsey has spent his last 5 seasons with the Buffalo Bills, serving as the offensive coordinator the last 2 before being fired mid-season last year when Buffalo got off to a rocky start. The Browns, they're hoping, of course, that Dorsey will, who has the history of coaching Cam Newton, the history of coaching Josh Allen, will translate into improving Deshaun Watson's play, because even with Buffalo firing him last year, mid-season, they were still really good. First off, Dorsey's first full season as the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, they finished second in yards and points. and first downs, which is awesome. And last year, before being fired, they were 7th and 8th in points and first downs and yards and all that stuff, either one of those. So they were still top 10 in some of the important offensive metrics. It was just that Josh Allen was turning the ball over at an enormous rate that they had to move on from him and go to Joe Brady. One of the big things is that Dawson Knox was fine under Dorsey and in Buffalo. That 2023 season or 2022 season, he actually did make the Pro Bowl. He only had 500 yards and 6 touchdowns, but that's not too bad. David Njoku with more athleticism, we could give that his floor and hopefully a bit more ceiling as well. So the Browns offense hopefully getting juicy. I still want to say that it is all going to ride on Deshaun Watson. Of course, everyone knows that. Just because like he has not shown anything really over the last 2 seasons for us to get too excited. And if he can't, like, as decent as the wide receiver room seems to be, right? Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy could be okay. Elijah Moore's still there. They got David Bell, right? Like, it's okay on top of David Njoku and a decent run game with Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. It's just Deshaun Watson. It all comes down to him. And I still am not betting on Deshaun Watson, to be completely honest with you guys. I am one of those people that believes that a lot of this game does come down to your mentality and just where you're at in headspace in general. And I just don't think Deshaun Watson is there mentally. I really don't. I think that he has kind of lost that drive, the ambition and all that stuff. He seems like a head case to me, to where I'm staying away and not really betting on it. But, you know, there's still, of course, the potential that that's not the case. I mean, with head case things, at some point, you hopefully get over it. I don't really want to bet on it at this point. I really don't. I'm not comfortable in it, but it, of course, could happen. And if he turns it around, I mean, this offense is going to be incredible. It really, really will. They've already been solid enough with bad Deshaun Watson. They were really good with Joe Flacco. So there is some potential here for a lot of pieces to get unlocked, and all of them are pretty decent prices. Even Deshaun Watson, even if I'm personally not taking a swing on it, it's not too bad. He's like quarterback 20-something, 22, I believe, which is just, I mean, like, that's okay. Like, you don't want to make him your quarterback 1, but, you know, give him quarterback 3, maybe 2 on your super flex team. It's not the worst thing in the world, but you better have another option. So either way, Browns offense seeming juicy, as Njoku says, and he's not adding anything else, kind of teasing us a little bit with some excitement, but pretty cool stuff. The next we have a little bit of an eye roll moment from Rashee Rice. This is what he said. I've learned so much from the offseason troubles. All I can do is mature and continue to grow from that. This is a step in a better direction for me. Accidents and stuff happen. All you can do is move forward and walk around being the same person. Try to be positive so that everyone can feel your love and your great energy. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, this is kind of an eye roll moment to me. Yeah, Rashee Rice, everyone has accidents and those happen. And yes, all you really should do is move forward. But you should also take some accountability at some point. As far as I'm aware, he still hasn't really come out and really taken much blame for this. Now, of course, you can't when you're in a legal situation, really, like with everything still playing out. We'll see. But I mean, I still think that we should see a little bit more accountability from him. But either way, that's where he's at, saying that he's learned a lot and he plans to mature. So hopefully that's the case, as I am tired of seeing Rashee Rice's name in these damn headlines. So that's where we're at with him. We'll move on to another wide receiver, Nico Collins. And y'all will love this. You know I did. This is what CJ Stroud had to say about Nico Collins. Collins is a generational talent. He's like our age's Andre Johnson, in my opinion. Just how fast he is and how he gets in and out of his breaks, how he releases, how strong he is. I think last season was just a preview of what's to come for him. CJ Stroud went on to talk about the rest of the wide receiver room. I think we have like 5 number 1s, so that's cool to have. I had that in college, and now I have it again. It's going to be fun. Nico's the type of receiver who loves to see everybody else eat too. His love for his brothers hasn't changed. And it's just a special feeling to see somebody who deserves to get paid. I'm really proud of him. So awesome stuff coming from CJ Stroud. You obviously get the teammate support. But then for him to call him to this age as Andre Johnson, that's got to raise some eyebrows. Of course, Andre Johnson, one of the greatest Houston Texans, but then also just one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. Andre Johnson was a total stud in his career. Of course, broke out early and was a very high draft pick, was the 3rd draft pick in 2003. So it's it's a strange comparison, but a good one, I guess, at the end of the day. Nico Collins is 2 inches taller. He is 7 pounds lighter. but they do share a lot of similar traits. Of course, they are these kind of bigger bodied receivers with explosiveness and all that stuff. So I like the comparison. Really, just the big thing here is that Andre Johnson broke out early before dominating the rest of his career, whereas Nico Collins has kind of taken some time. In Nico Collins' defense, he has had, and I quote, Davis Mills, Tyrod Taylor, Case Keenum, Kyle Allen, and Jeff Driscoll as his quarterbacks before CJ Stroud. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. You guys already know I am hugely in on Nico Collins, have been his entire career, mostly because he went to Michigan, but also because I love the athleticism. 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns last year off of only a 23% target share. That's incredible. I agree with CJ Stroud that I think plenty more is on the way for him. And at the very least, this should be a type of floor or just a consistent 1,000-yard, 7 or more touchdown type wide receiver from here on out if he can stay healthy. Love Nico Collins. Love that CJ Stroud loves him. Love the Texans receiving room. I think this is going to be a very fun offense. Not that that's not a hot take anymore. That was a hot take last year when I was saying it. Now it's cold as hell to say it. But either way, every piece on this Texans offense I want, even if they're expensive. CJ Stroud, takedown, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, even Dalton Schultz, who's actually a bit of a budget. I want them all. I even want to take some swings on Dameon Pierce. I am not going to lie to you. I want any person that can score points on this Texans offense. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And get them while you can. So either way, Nico Collins. Definitely get Nico Collins. The former Texan, we'll talk about the move from the Texans to a former Texan and talk some Devin Singletary as he was asked how he feels about replacing Saquon Barkley. And this is what he said. I've been in the league just like him. He's only been in the league 1 year before me, and I feel like I'm a playmaker like him. So I'm just going to be me. It's been going well for me since I've been in the league, so that's what I'm going to keep going. And I don't know or somebody asked him a specific question, I don't know, but he said, I don't know, just ball out, win games. I think that's the biggest thing. That's our focus anyway, to win games. We're not really worried about the shadow of Saquon or any of that. We're just finding ways to win games. And this is awesome news for Devin Singletary, as we know that he's reuniting with Brian Daboll, who we saw some success with in Buffalo. But also, Devin Singletary has just been successful throughout his entire NFL career. Shockingly, last year, we were all in on Dameon Pierce after an incredible rookie season. What did Devin Singletary do? The same thing he's done in his entire career. Held back James Cook, held back Zach Moss, held back Dameon Pierce, and became the lead back on an offense that was really good. He, of course, finishes last year with 900 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, also had 30 receptions. The same thing with the Buffalo Bills over the 2 seasons before that, over 800 yards, 5 or more touchdowns, 35 or more receptions in Buffalo. That's what we should expect. We should expect about 200 touches for this guy next season, and we should expect some touchdowns for him. Devin Singletary, a great budget option. And I was actually surprised. I wanted to compare career stats just because, like Devin Singletary seemed a little overconfident in himself. But actually, if you look, Devin Singletary has averaged more yards per carry over his career than Saquon Barkley has. And despite having almost 400 less carries, he only has 1,200 less rush yards than him, which is just insane to me. So Devin Singletary, honestly, a good running back that we need to keep putting respect on. I know he has proven it, and yet we are not. I'm not saying he's proven a ceiling, but he's been a very consistent and good running back for us, especially in the flex spot, for a very cheap price tag. And now he's probably going to be one of the more featured backs in New York. I do like Tyrone Tracy. I think there's a pathway there. But either way, Devin Singletary is going to get at least 50% of the opportunities, probably 60 in New York, reuniting with his coach, already being productive, and being efficient as well, averaging 4.6 yards per carry in his career versus Saquon Barkley's 4.3. How crazy is that? Literally, how crazy is that? And again, he has had 888 carries in his career for 4,000 yards. Saquon Barkley has had 1,200 carries for 5,200 yards. Wild. It's really not that far off when I looked at it. I was a little shocked to see how good Devin Singletary has been throughout his career. He hasn't had a single season under 650 yards. In fact, that's just rushing. He hasn't had a single season under 750 total yards. He has been awesome. Really, even as a rookie, he had 775 rush yards. Like, it's shocking to me. It really is. Devin Singletary. So either way, really good budget option, and seems to be a big piece of this Giants offense going forward. So that's where we're at. The next bit of information we have is the Packers receiving room. And a lot of us are asking ourselves the question, who is going to be the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay this season? We have no idea. I think it's Christian Watson. Some say it's Jayden Reed. Some think it's just going to be Romeo Doubs again. What does Jordan Love say? I think you don't have to have a number 1 receiver. I think it works out well when you can spread the ball out and you have different guys making different plays, putting them in different areas. It puts a lot of stress on the defense and the calls that they can get in. So I think in the long run, it helps us not having a number 1, a true number 1. But I think all of our guys can step up and be the one any given day. And that is true. Last year's numbers reflect an equitable distribution of opportunity per NFL.com. Reed led the group on the season with 64 receptions for 793 yards and 8 touchdowns. But Doubs, Watson, and Wicks weren't too far behind. The group had their single game moments along the way, with each one of those receivers leading the team in receiving on at least 2 different games throughout 2023. So it has already kind of been a cycle of weekly wide receiver 1s. Jordan Love continues. You can plug any of those guys in at any position, and they'll go out there and make plays. I think a little of that was proven last year. We had different guys injured throughout the season, and guys had to move around a little bit, play some different spots that they might not have been used to. So I think that's the case. But you look at these guys, each one has their own skill set, what they do great, and that's the key, trying to find that and put them in the best position to be successful. Matt LaFleur goes on to say it's more about the collective unit of all those guys and just the rapport that they're building with Jordan throughout the course of the offseason. I'm excited to get to training camp with them. All those guys have had their moments where they were the leading receiver in a game, and I feel really good about the collective unit. The hardest part is we feel so good about them, it's hard to get everybody the amount of touches that you'd like to get. But that's a good problem to have. So everyone that has been taking your swings on Bo Melton, Dontavian Wicks, that's confirmation right there that pretty much every Packer is going to get some volume in the passing game. Now, will anyone get true ceiling, like 10 plus targets on average? I don't think so. I think even Christian Watson wouldn't get that after hearing this kind of information. It really sounds like they want everyone to eat, and that's fine. So again, I say, bye, Jordan Love. What's going on? Why is Jordan Love so attainable in Dynasty right now? Why can you trade Dak Prescott for Jordan Love right now? Why? Get Jordan Love, guys. Seriously. Just go get Jordan Love and continue taking your swings on all the Packers receivers down to Bo Melton, it sounds, because all of them are going to have some opportunities. And if injuries happen, that's the pathway to true wide receiver 1 ceiling. And someone has it in this game, in this offense. Someone has it. I still think it's Christian Watson. I mean, if you're talking about not any one of them having a ton of volume on a given basis, you should probably go with the explosive playmaker in Christian Watson. But that's just me. Obviously, some people will like the consistency that a Jayden Reed would probably bring. But I still do think Christian Watson has that ceiling. But either way, it sounds like all of them are worth taking a swing on because it sounds like we'll at least get some flex play out of the rest of them. So that's just something to keep your eye on there with the Packers. Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs. As we keep talking about now, I'm adding a little bit of small updates on how the NFL is planning to tackle the new kickoff rule. And we talked about Justin Tucker in Baltimore last week. He is adding some pounds. We've talked about the Steelers potentially using Justin Fields as a kick returner. Well, the Chiefs are planning on using safety Justin Reed as their kickoff specialist. And what's interesting is we've actually seen Justin Reed kick before. Harrison Butker was injured in the 2022 season, and Justin Reed actually took over some extra duties. He had 2 extra point attempts. He made one of them, and he had 7 kickoff attempts, averaged 63.6 yards per kickoff, and 5 of them were touchbacks. So obviously Justin Reed can be a kicker. This is what he said. Every year I try to kick. I like to do it for fun. So I petitioned our special teams coach the last 2 years to let me get some in the preseason. And of course, that year where Harrison Butker was injured, it's just a natural fit. right now, and I think he'd be excited about it, and it's cool that we'll be able to turn into a weapon this season. The reason they're doing this, of course, is we've talked about it. The kicker in the XFL was actually involved in 20 to 25% of these kickoff return tackles, as the true tacklers, these special teams and the depth linebackers and all that stuff, they kind of have to wait for the return, so they generally get blocked. And then the kicker is kind of the lone man standing to make some tackles. So, of course, that leads to more kickoff returns, but then that also means your kicker might get injured if they're trying to tackle these players moving at full speed when they're kickers. They're not tacklers. And so Kansas City Chiefs, looking at their safety, Justin Reid, a tackling specialist who has also kicking experience to do this, I think it's very smart. It's very wise, but don't put too much stock into it yet, as Wake and Take darling LRZ, Louis Rees-Zammit, is also trying out for this kicking spot, on top of trying out for these kickoff return duties. Because of him, being Welsh, he probably knows how to play soccer or kick or whatever, right? And so they are also trying him out in this spot. He, of course, also kind of has the size to make some tackles at 6'2", 210 pounds. But either way, it is looking like Harrison Butker will not be the kickoff specialist for the Kansas City Chiefs, which obviously really means nothing for fantasy purposes, but a really good NFL thing. And if you're in leagues where you get points for tackles, maybe start taking some more swings on Louis Rees-Zammit, as it's possible he ends up earning this from Justin Reid, as they just want to, find a way to use this guy as he continues to impress throughout camp. He even had a celebrity softball game this weekend and hit a home run on his first swing, saying he had never swung a bat before, and just goes up there and hits a home run. Just insane athleticism LRZ has, Louis Rees-Zammit. And so it's a very fun story to watch, guys. And finally, I do want to say I did take him in the Wake and Take Invitational. We're in round 8 of this thing of 32 teams. I finally took my Louis Rees-Zammit swing. My first share of him in Dynasty. We do have special team scoring, so I hope he earns that role. But I thought it was a fun pick. I keep, getting some of my Wake and Take guys, which has been really fun. I've, of course, got Kyle Pitts. I got Ryan Flournoy last week as well. Now I get LRZ. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty nice. CJ Stroud, of course, being a big Wake and Take person as well, going back to last season. So it's been fun to kind of build my team around some takes I've had on this show. So keep your eye on LRZ, and also keep your eye on Justin Reid, and just, continue to, look into this new kickoff rule. It's very interesting. I like these things. We've got a couple more updates for you, and then we'll get out of here. The quick thing on Zamir White. He was just asked about his bigger role, and this is what he said. Last year, my role was more like the quiet guy, and now I have to grow into the vocal leader. I'm showing them on the field every single day. I'm in this new role, and it's whole new ground for me. I'm just going to keep grinding it out, working and learning from the other backs in the room to progress. So Zamir White, ready to take on this big role, ready to take on this leadership opportunity. That's what you want to hear with someone stepping into a potential bell cow opportunity. I still think he's a little bit of a value right now. Now, I'm not going to go so far over my skis. I'm seeing I'm starting to hear a lot of Zamir White hype, and I'm with you. I am very much in on Zamir White. Again, I took him in the Wake and Take Invitational League. But I am still thinking that Dylan Lau will earn pass-catching duties. I do think that Zamir White won't do too much as a pass catcher. I still think he'll, of course, get some dump-offs, but I really wouldn't be surprised if this does devolve into a Zamir White first and second down, Dylan Lau third down, which isn't bad. Of course, that's still bell cow, but I do just want to temper some expectations. I don't know if I fully believe Zamir White is a true all-three-down workhorse. I do think that Dylan Lau will earn some pass catching duties. I really do. But I'm not worried about Alexander Madison at all. I think Zamir White gets pretty much all the actual true carries. I think he's going to get a ton of touchdowns. I still think he'll get at least 20 carries a game or whatever. But I think that Dylan Lau is probably going to go in on third down because he's good at pass protection and he's a really good pass catching back in general. And so if you get Zamir White, I do also recommend getting Dylan Lau. Just because I think that could be a very fun backfield. Again, I am attacking this Raiders offense. I think they're all values right now. The last thing I have for you guys, and this is super quick, so don't leave yet. NFL mandatory minicamps are kicking off for 22 teams this week. 3 of them kick off today, so we'll probably have some stuff to talk about tomorrow. That is the Falcons, Jaguars, and Rams. And then tomorrow, the other 19 teams: Cardinals, Ravens, Bills, Panthers, Bengals, Browns, Broncos, Packers, Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Patriots, Saints, Giants, Jets, Steelers, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Commanders, will be kicking off their mandatory mini camps. So go ahead and start tuning into those teams. And if you'll remember from last week's Memphis Young episode, he said make a burner Instagram account and go follow all 32 NFL teams and scroll through their stories every night, scroll through your timeline, see what's going on at these OTAs, because you can learn a lot about what connections are establishing and all that stuff. He pointed out the Brandon Marshall, his breakout season. He had noticed that he was being thrown to a lot in OTAs, and so he bet on that. And it's been a trend that he liked a lot. That he notices, just kind of these rapport building throughout camp and how they lead to regular season success as well. So I do just suggest following these teams, and all that stuff. So just in case I miss something on Wake and Take, it's hard to catch everything that's going on. We try our best here, but definitely just keep your eye on these teams this week for sure. And we'll definitely talk about whatever I find out and all that stuff. So stay tuned for some more Wake and Take throughout the week. Do we have any questions? Oh, you guys could hear that video, so that's epic. That's awesome. You just played it twice, but whatever. Jesse Jenkins says that this is one of your favorite shows to watch in the morning and that you think I'm pretty darn cool. So thank you. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate the compliment, and thank you for tuning in. Let's see. Bellinger has been impressive in the games that you've seen, says Ray. I agree. I think that he shows that tight end toughness a lot, and that's what I like. Njoku is a tight end to target. I agree. Jamie got Ryan Flournoy at the 328 in a 32-team league with IDP. That is a nice pick. That is nice. I think he will be good, man. I really do. Again, believing in Ryan Flournoy. There's potential it's not this year. I think it will be this year. But either way, I do think that he has a really solid career, at least as a flex play going forward. For a player that you can get for very much free right now, get as much Ryan Flournoy as you can. That should be everything. So, thank you, as always, for tuning in. This was another fun episode of Wake and Take, and you guys were a great audience, as always. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Player Profiler. We'll, of course, be live here tomorrow on the Player Profiler YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at 10 a.m. Eastern, breaking down whatever else is happening. Maybe I'll be bit by the underdog bug again. I don't know. It's looking like that Superflex contest is filling up, so we might not be able to do it, but we might. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but it might be full. But either way, tune into that, guys. And again, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a magnificent Monday and a wonderful rest of your week. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.